So in the previous class, am I audible? Yeah. So in the previous class,
Yes, sir.
we have started with industrial buildings, and we'll be covering two parts in this: design of roof trusses and design of gantry girders. So we have started with design of roof truss. Uh, in the design of roof truss, we basically design the chord members, which are top chords and bottom chord members, and the web members, which are diagonals, ties, and struts. Uh, then we also design purlin members, which are basically flexural members, whereas the chord members and web members are actually loaded members. They are either in tension or compression. So then we have seen different types of roof trusses for different span range, and then we have seen different elements of roof truss. Uh, this is the ridge point. Then the distance between two purlin members is called panel. This is common rafters which supports the roofing. Then these are called panel points. Okay, this is principal rafter, which is mainly under compression, uh, under gravity loadings, and this is the bottom chord or main tie. It is also called main tie. Okay. Which is under tension, under gravity loadings. Uh, so these are predominantly tension members, and principal rafters are predominantly compression members. Then these are the purlins. Wait, wait. This is purlin. Then this is eve point. Okay, this is the ridge point and this is eve point. This is gutter which collects the rainwater, and this is downtake pipe. Which takes down the collected water. This is the span, the center to center distance between the supports of the roof truss, and these are the walls or columns. Now this is theta. This is the slope of the truss. Theta is the slope of the truss, and this distance this from here to this. This is called rise. Okay, and the rise and span decide the pitch of the truss. Okay. Now this is the elevation. Now if you see it in plan, then we have a ridge line here. Okay. Then we have these purling members. Same way, we have purlins on the right side of the ridge line. This is called ridge line. These are the purlins. And these are the trusses. We have several such trusses along the length of the shop. The purlins are sometimes extended like this, just to have the projections, roof projected outside. Then we have some column numbers. These are the columns. And this distance is the spacing of the truss. All these are the spacing of the truss. Means this configuration we have here, then it is placed here, then it is means we have series of such trusses at different intervals along the length of the shop. This is the length of the shop. Length of shop or it is also referred as warehouse. Similarly, this is the width of the shop, which is actually the span of the truss. This is the width of the shop. Width of the shop or warehouse, which is actually the span of the truss. This. Okay. So it is also the span of roof truss. Okay. So we have a roof truss here. We have roof truss here. We have a roof truss over here. We have a roof truss here also. So this is the spacing of the roof truss. And this distance, the distance between the verticals, this is called the spacing of the purlins. Spacing of purlins, or simply purlin spacings. You can write it as purlin spacing. And this is the ridge line is also the center line of the roof truss. The ridge line is also the center line of the roof truss. This is in plan. This is the elevation. So from this figure, you can define various terms of the roof truss. That means what is ridge, what is eave, what is principal after, what is main tie or bottom chord or simply tie. Then what is purlins, what is the rise of the truss, what is the slope of the truss, what is the span, okay. What is the spacing of the roof truss, what is purlin spacing. So this you can define. So some important terms we will discuss now. Pitch. So it is the ratio of rise to the span of the truss. That means pitch is equal to rise by span. And usually the value of pitch is kept between 1/3 to 1/4 of the span. And, and this is commonly used uh, pitch. Then another term is the spacing of the truss. So it is the distance between two consecutive roof truss. Is the distance between two consecutive roof truss. Okay. And usually this is uh, the economical spacing of truss. Economical spacing of truss is between 1/3 to 1/5 of span. Now, the purling spacing is decided based on the width of the roofing sheet also. Similarly, we have the slope theta is theta. This slope is the ratio of rise to half span. So theta is equals to rise divided by span by 2. Okay, so with this, we'll now see the various loads on the roof truss. So the various loads on the roof truss are bed load, live load, sometimes snow loads in places where snow occurs, and wind load. Now, for dead load, we'll be referring IS 875 part 1. For live load, we'll refer 875 part 2. For wind load, we'll refer 875 part 3. Uh, we'll see the problems without snow load. Only the three loads we will consider: dead load, live load, and wind load. Though it is the snow load you can consider from the 875 part 4. So let us see dead load. Now the dead load includes the self-weight of the truss and the self-weight of the purlins and the self-weight of the roofing material. So this total comprises the dead load on the roof truss. So it includes self-weight of truss, and the self-weight of the truss uh, can be approximately calculated as span in meter divided by 3 plus 5 multiplied by 10. So that will give you in Newton per meter square approximate self-weight of the roof truss, because at the initial stage we don't have the self-weight because we don't know the section of the roof truss. So we have to assume some self-weight of the roof truss, and then we'll design the members and make sure that the self-weight does not exceed the approximation carried out in the preliminary dimensioning of the roof truss. Then the second is the self-weight of purlins and the weight of roofing materials. Depending on the type of the roofing material selected, you can have the unit weight of the roofing material from IS 875 part 1. Okay, and you can find the roofing weight of the roofing in Newton per meter square. We'll find all these loads in Newton per meter square, and the sum of these will be the total dead load on roof truss. Now usually this value ranges between uh, 0.3 to 1 kilonewton per meter square. this is the approximate value. Then second is live load. For this we will refer IS 875 part 1, and for this we will refer 875 part 2. Now here roof trusses are generally pitched, uh, generally have pitch. So we have two criteria for live load. Live load is equal to 0.7 or simply 750 Newton per meter square if the slope of the roof truss is less than or equal to 10 degree. So, so this live load is same as your flat roof. And second is it is 750 minus theta minus 20 degree into 20, but no, not less than 400 Newton per meter square. Okay. So this is 10. Okay. For slopes greater than 10 degree, the live load on plan area will be equal to 750 minus 20 Newton per meter square for every increase in the degree of the slope. Every degree increase in the slope. So this is on plan area. Okay. This load is on plan area. Okay. This is also in plan area because both of them are acting in gravity direction. So they will be on plan area. Now the wind load calculation we have gone through in design of steel structure. For that we will refer IS 875 part 3. Okay. And usually this is on this we find the wind load on half slope area. Okay, so details of this you have already studied in design of steel structure. Now next thing is the combination of these loads. Just let us see some wind load. This wind load is given by this CPE minus CPI times the obstructed area times design pressure. So using this expression, you can find the wind force. Now let us see the load combinations. Now these loads, they are acting simultaneously, so their combined effect should be considered. So we combine these loads with a load combination. So we'll be using 1.5 combinations. Will be using 1.5 dead load plus live load. Okay. Second combination, we'll be using 1.2 dead load plus live load plus wind load, and third combination we'll be using 0.9 dead load plus 1.5 wind load. And here these combinations are applicable in absence of crane load. Suppose in your suppose this roof truss supports some crane, then you should consider two live load cases. One is leading and another is accompanying. So both the worst effect should be considered. So with this, now next is analysis of roof truss. Now, once you have found all the loads, you have to find the panel loads, because the loads on the roof truss will be acting at the panel points only. That is the basic assumption of the truss. And then with these loads, we analyze the roof truss. The analysis can be done by you can do manually for simple geometry by using method of joint, you can do it by method of section, but this is for simple geometry. Then you can use the graphical method. Then you can use matrix method. Or you can use any computer code. But as far as your syllabus is concerned, we'll be focusing on graphical method or method of joint or method of section, because matrix method or computer codes are not in your scope. And the last thing that we do, once the analysis of roof truss is done, then we design the roof members of the roof truss, and then finally we design the purlins. with this, let us take an example of a roof truss. Design of pen design pin type roof truss, pin type roof truss for an industrial building for the following data. One is overall length of shop, that is 48 meter. Overall width of shop is 16.5 meter. So this will be the span of the truss, and width, that is center to center of roof column, it is 16 meter. Then the center to center spacing of trusses is equal to 8 meter. Here rise is given to you, rise of truss. Sometimes pitch may be given or the slope may be given, then you have to find the other terms like rise and all. So rise is given as 1/4 of the span. So this is actually the pitch. 1/4 value is the pitch. 1/4 of the. So sometimes it may be simply given the pitch of the truss is 1/4. So then you can find the rise. Then the sulfate of purlins, it is given to you. Otherwise, you have to obtain it from IS 875 part 1, or you assume some value based on past experience. Then the height of column is 11 meter. Then roofing and side covering, so for roofing we are using asbestos sheet, asbestos cement sheet, or simply AC sheet. with dead load of 171 Newton per meter square. If it is not given, then you have to obtain by assuming the thickness of the asbestos sheet. You have to obtain it from the IS 875 part 1. Then the location of the building. The building is located in industrial area Naini in Allahabad. Then both the ends of the truss are hinged and use 410 grade of steel. So this is the data given to you, and you have to design the roof truss. So we'll see the design in the next class because it's a lengthy example. It might take 1 or 2 lectures to complete. So we stop here, and in the next class we will continue with this example. So today we have seen the various elements of the roof truss. We have seen various terms such as pitch, spacing of the truss, slope of the truss, okay. And then we have seen the various loads acting on the roof truss, their load combinations, and the analysis of the roof truss, methods of analysis of roof truss. So, and in the next class we will go through an example of a pin type roof truss. So we stop here, and if you have any doubt we can discuss now.